welcome back to another video. If you're new here, hi, my name is Emmy. Make sure you subscribe if you like reading vlogs and book related content. I upload usually 2 videos a week here on this channel, and if I'm not posting it, you can find me over on my BookTok. But this week is a little bit different. We have a bit of a different camera setup, a little bit of a different vibe. That's because I'm currently in Gran Canaria. I'm currently in the Canary Islands. I am on my summer holiday, and as you can see by the title, that obviously means that today's video is going to be what I read a week on my summer holidays. I'm definitely a pool and beachside reader. I love reading, obviously, but I love spending my summer vacation time sitting by the pool and reading. Typically I'll read more than I do when I'm at home, so as I do how much I read in a week type of vlogs, I thought let's do one while I'm away. Today is a Wednesday. I arrived here yesterday on Tuesday, and I actually read a whole book on Tuesday. I read the book of Azrael, the first book in the Gods and Monsters series, and I read the whole thing yesterday from like my plane flying over, and then just like a couple hours in the evening here. Probably read some of that series while I'm here as well, but we're going to kick started off today with the physical book. I brought a couple physical books with me, so we're going to go down by the pool and see what I fancy reading first, and then just start reading. So it's 4 p.m. I started reading this book at like 12, and then we stopped for lunch. We had a bit of a break. So I've been reading it on and off like this morning and this afternoon, but finished it. I get it. I knew as soon as I read Wild Love that I got the Elsie Silver hype. And I get it. I get the Chestnut Springs hype. This was a bit spicier. Well, I wouldn't say it was spicier than Wild Love, but the more mature scenes and comments came earlier than in Wild Love. But this was good, and I love all the characters. I already own all the other books, so I know whose other stories are to come, but I didn't bring any of the other books on this trip because I thought I brought enough with me. So I think I'm going to download the next one on Kindle, but I'm not going to read it today. I do think I want to read it this week though, because I think it's Willa and Cade's story, which I'm like, yes. But this was so sweet. So the ending of this, or like the epilogue at the end, the same thing happened in Wild Love, so I'm like, is that gonna happen for the epilogue for every story? But I'm so not used to like romance books with like happily ever afters. I'm used to like soul gut-wrenching fantasy books that absolutely destroy me. So this was nice. This is perfect to sit by the beach and read, or by the pool. But now I think I'm just gonna like flip back and forth between like romance, fantasy. So I read fantasy yesterday, read romance today, and I'm gonna start a Kindle read. I'm actually starting a dragon Kindle read that I saw was recommended on BookTok and is on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm gonna put this book down, and then once I've finished this Kindle book, I'm probably gonna pick up my Emily Henry book and read that. So 4 stars. Yeah, I'm saying 4 stars because Wild Love I gave 4 stars, and I don't think this was better than Wild Love. I don't think it was worse. I think they were sort of on par. I like both of them. Very different stories. I'm loving the cowboy vibes like so much, but 4 stars. I get the hype. I love Chestnut Springs series. Okay. I'm back in my hotel room. I've just showered and got ready for the evening, and Cammy is on the balcony FaceTiming his nana. So I thought I would just chill, have a little catch up and get some reading done. But I realized I never actually spoke about what this book was about because I feel like everyone just has already read it and already knows. The Chestnut Spring series is one of like the most recommended and talked about contemporary romance series, especially around the summertime. And also like this book is everywhere, like you can't escape it. Every bookshop has it. It's literally, I feel like everyone and their mother has read this, but if you haven't, it is a cowboy romance. There's 5 books and they're all sort of around the same sort of family. So the first one is about a guy called Rhett, and he is a bull rider, like professional bull rider. And then the female character is Summer, and she is the daughter of Rhett's agent. Rhett's basically gotten in trouble and lost a sponsorship, and she has to like go and look after him and make sure he doesn't ruin any other work related stuff. Rhett's family own like a ranch, and he's got his dad there, and then his older brother Cade, who is a single divorced dad, and his other brother Beau, who is in the army. And then they got their friend Jasper, who is almost like a brother type of thing, but he's their friend, and he is a professional hockey player. And then Rhett's little protege that he's taken under his wing is sort of like 10 years younger than him, because Rhett's like 30 something, Theo, and he's also a bull rider. And I think they're the 5 main boys that like each book is about their individual stories. But like Summer's best friend Willa, the next book is about her and one of the other brothers, and then Summer's sister Winter is in one of the other books. Everything's interconnected. It's small town, it's cozy vibes. I love the crossovers, it's so good. But if you just want like a really easy adult romance to read that just sucks you in, it's also dual perspective, so you get both the male and the female characters, chapters, point of views, which is just the best. I think every book should be written in that way, but yeah, so good. And then I've jumped into The Forgotten and the Feared, which, is this an independent book? I think it might be an independent book. The only way to survive is win. The only way to win is to slay a dragon. In a realm where power determines life or death, 2 young women are thrust into a deadly tournament where the only path to survival is to slay a dragon. Forced to participate in the brutal gauntlet, Amalia and Diana enter the dangerous world of the Fae, but the humans aren't the only ones being forced to fight dragons. Once revered as gods, are on the brink of extinction. As the 2 women train for battle of their lives, Amalia grows closer to stony yet magnetic gauntlet head trainer, while her adopted younger sister Diana finds herself falling for enigmatic Muriel, a gauntlet candidate from the coastal Eastlands. Magic, danger, romance, sapphic characters, and a morally grey anti-heroine. This is an adult dark epic fantasy novel set in a grimdark style fantasy world. Reading 2 very different books on this trip. I can't stop thinking about the Book of Azrael though that I finished, and I want to start the next one, but then I also really want to start Glow that I have, because I need to find out what happens next in the Play of Prisoner series. But then I also really want to start A Shadow in the Ember. But I think I'll save that one last, because that's starting a new spin-offs type of series, so I can hold off for now. And then I also have Happy Place, so I think I'm just going to be like flipping back and forth between books because I want to read everything. I'm only like 4% into The Forgotten and the Feared, and it is giving me sort of like Hunger Gamesy vibes meets Fourth Wing. Like, it's dual perspective, I think. Right now, well, it says Amalia. I haven't had a Diana chapter, but I'm assuming we're going to get one. And so far they're talking about the gauntlet. Am I even saying that word wrong? No, it sounds wrong. And it happens every 25 years, I think. We'll read it, but I was in the mood for dragons. I wanted something with dragons. I miss dragons. I've learnt that I'm obsessed with dragons. I just can't stop thinking about dragons. Every time I see like an edit for Fourth Wing or something related to dragons, I stop and watch it. I just finished House of the Dragon, or I'm up to date with it because the new season's coming for the Game of Thrones spin-off, and I love that. The one thing about that TV show that really gets under my skin is they're not accurate dragons in the show. They're wyverns. They don't have 4 legs or arms. Legs? Anyways, they're missing a set of front arms or legs. And apparently the only TV or film to show dragons accurately is How to Train Your Dragon, like the cartoon. So anyways, that's really useless information. Just me rambling on, when the point of that was to say that I really wanted to read something with dragons, and this book came up on my For You page about, if you like dragons, read this, so I'm reading it. That's all. Anyways, let's read.
50% of the way through this and I've just had to stop because I'm starting to cry over the baby dragons in this book because they can like speak in mind to one of the characters. Something really upsetting just happened. I get really emotional about like animals that talk in books. It's really good, but I'm like halfway through and it's starting to get really good. I just love dragons.
So I'm over halfway in The Forgotten and the Feared and I'm actually starting to love it. It was a bit slow for me to get into at start. I don't know why. I'm just like struggling to concentrate at the moment. I'm so used to just being at home and having other things to do so I can just like shut out and read, but here because I have nothing to do, my brain is just like struggling to shut off for some reason. But this, God, I love dragons. This is multi-character perspectives. Like it's focused on the main character Amalia, and then we have her like adopted or kind of, yeah, adopted sister Diana, who we get chapters of, but then we sort of get insight into other characters, including dragons. It's sort of like Fourth Wing in the sense of like they can communicate via mind, but not all the characters, only some of them, and also other animals. I'm really enjoying it. It's starting to get good, but there's like a lot of secrets and betrayal and hidden stuff, and things are starting to come together. We're starting to get puzzle pieces now, so I'm like, okay, things are starting to make a bit of sense. So I'm excited to keep reading, and I've got a little bit of time where I can read a bit more before we have to go out for dinner, so that's what I'm gonna do. Obviously putting my noise cancelling headphones on with my brown noise. I didn't even get to speak about this book because as soon as I picked it up, I could not put it down. This is 5 stars. It just can't not be. I cried way too much at this book. Even now thinking about it again, I think I'm gonna start crying. This is my first Emily Henry book, and I get it, I understand the hype. This was so beautiful, not what I was expecting at all. I honestly had no idea what to expect with her books, but I get it. It was written so beautifully, but like it just felt so real, and I was so emotionally attached, and I can't stop thinking about certain things. And now I need to go and read like all of her books. God, I'm gonna start crying if I keep talking about this. I'm gonna jump into a fantasy book now because I need a break. I need some escapism. I'm too much in my own head right now after reading this. I need to escape, so I think I'm gonna go and pick up the next book in the Plated Prisoner series and read that, because that's quite a big book and that will keep me distracted for a bit. But this was beautiful. I just can't say it too much right now because it will set me off again. I have Beach Read at home, but I think I'm gonna be doing like a reading 7 romance books in 7 days video, and I'm gonna save it for that, which now I'm excited because I've got a couple of romance books, contemporary romance books coming, and also I think I'll be able to read like one of the Chestnut Springs books, and I know that Emily Henry in that, and now that I've read them on holiday I'm very excited for it. They are great, like, well, I would say I call them palette cleanser books for my fantasies, but I feel like I need a fantasy book for a palette cleanser now after this. But yeah, that was beautiful. I love that. I'm gonna go back downstairs and read by the pool now. We're gonna start fantasy, otherwise I'm just gonna be crying, and that's not what I want to do this holiday. But this was beautiful. Wow. Hello guys, we are back in the hotel now. I started Glow. I read for like 2 hours and we're like around 250 pages in. So I think I can get a good chunk of this done. This is the 4th book in the Plated Prisoner series, and as I'm like filming this, the paperback version of the 5th book is being released like this week. So I brought this on holiday with me so that I can read it, so then when I get home I can read book 5 and then be up to date, because book 6 comes out later on this year, but it's coming out in hardcover only. So I don't know, this is my dilemma, such a first world problem, but when you have a series or books already in paperback and then they get released in hardcover, you know that the paperback release is usually a year or so after the initial hardcover release. So annoying when they do that. I'm like, god, I don't know what version to buy. Anyways, problem for another day. This book so far has been focusing, like, as sort of the other books, if you've not read any of the Plated Prisoner books, or you have, as the books go along you get more character perspective chapters. It's like written in multi-character point of view. So this, we're getting some characters that we've not had point of views for before, but this is like the main female character, Oren. It's like her recovery book, I'm guessing, because like some big events have happened and she's going through like a lot of changes right now. So we're getting insight into other characters and things that are happening. But honestly, jumping back into this world, I forgot how much I loved it. Like every time I go to pick up like a book that I'm in the middle of, or a series I'm in the middle of, I'll in my head go, I know I love this series, but like I worry that I'll pick up the next book and it will dip for me, or I won't love it as much as I remember. But this, I'm like, no, I love the Plated Prisoner series. It is one of my favorite fantasy book series. It's a darker fantasy. It has like more traditional fae, in the sense of like it's not fae in a fairy way like Akatar, but fae kind of similar to like the Cruel Prince. Like if these fae have different colored skin and claws and nails and spikes that come out of their bodies and tails and like that kind of fae, which I know is not everyone's cup of tea, but I just love this world. I love these characters. I did just film a bit of a like BookTok rant while I've been sat here waiting to read. I just went a bit off on a tangent on BookTok because so many of the books that I read are popular recommended BookTok books, and the reason for that is because I started reading, well, my reading journey I call it, because I've always read over the years, but I haven't read this much since when I was like a child. I was a big reader growing up, but I sort of reconnected with that part of myself at the beginning of this year, and it was Akatar that got me into it. And I obviously started off with all of the Sarah J Maas books. I read every single one of them, and then I'm like, what do I read now? I need stuff to fill the void. So where does a 25-year-old teenage girl go for her recommendations and sources? TikTok, obviously. So I've been making my way through that, and then obviously people will comment on my videos and recommend other books and book series and things for me to read, but also for me to read to talk about, because for me, BookTok and BookTube and filming reading related content is essentially my own book club. Like I make videos reading and talking about books because I read these books and I'm so passionate about reading. There is literally nothing in this world that I love more than reading. Like seriously, there is nothing I love more than reading. Reading is my happy place. Reading is my favorite thing to do. Escapism, but I genuinely love stories. I love being thrown into worlds. So when you read as much as I do, and my boyfriend isn't a reader, my sister reads non-fiction, and my friends aren't really that big into reading, so who else am I going to talk to about these books that I'm dying to talk about? Obviously a camera, so I can upload it onto the internet to talk about it with you. So yeah, I read a lot of BookTok popular recommended books, but there's this whole like thing going on right now where I feel like books and reading in general, like this year, is becoming like a new trend. Like way more people are getting into reading. It's becoming more mainstream. Popular books with cult followings are growing even more. So the amount of people I've seen picking up ACTA and Fourth Wing and all of these like really hyped up book series and posting about it who have not read before or are only getting into reading, and that, you know, reading as a whole is sort of becoming popular again and like a cool thing to do. With that is coming like a lot of negativity and a lot of hate and a lot of people being pretentious basically and thinking that they're a bit better than others because they like to read literature. I don't claim that any of the books I read are classic literature and great writing, but they're good vibes, they're good fun. If I'm gonna spend hours of my time each week reading books, I want to enjoy the books I'm reading. Whether I read guilty pleasure, poorly written but great plots and character books, or the award-winning, critically acclaimed novels, I don't really care. As long as I like the book and I enjoy it, I'm gonna like it. I'm not gonna let one person on the internet's opinion on a popular book series deter me from reading it, the same way I'm gonna give smaller independent books that I've never heard of a try, because I love to read and I want to read everything and anything. And if people are talking about books and I'm getting a bit of FOMO, I want to read to figure out what it is, like I'm gonna do that. So anyways, I've just brought that BookTok rant over here to YouTube now, so now you've heard it. But that's my thoughts and opinions on reading as a whole. I know I'm still relatively new to like BookTube and BookTok and making like a lot of reading content, so if you're watching this video, you're probably, you know, recently subscribed, or this might even be your first video of mine, which is pretty normal at the moment for me because I am still relatively new into doing this and making this, but it's something that I love and I'm so passionate about. So if you're looking for someone who has their own opinion, then you're in the right place. I don't care about other people's opinions the same way that I don't expect anyone to care about mine. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what I think you should read. I just share what I enjoy reading and talk about that. And then if you want to go and read it too, then that's fun and that's great and we can talk about it in the comments. But that's pretty much all it is. I'm not here claiming that I'm a professional book critic, because I'm not. I'm just a girl who loves to read and shares her thoughts online because she has no one else to share them with. So yeah, I'm just gonna stop yapping and get back to reading. Back to the room to get a bottle of sparkling water, because like one thing about me is I am ridiculously obsessed with sparkling water, and that would be my drink of choice to drink every day. I love water. I drink like 2 to 4 liters a day. Drinking enough water has never been an issue for me, but sparkling water is my drink of choice. And I finished this book. It's around lunchtime now. We've just had a little bit of lunch. I finished this before lunch. Honestly, these books get so big the more into the series and you go, but it's so easy to breeze through. Like, it's nothing like you don't need to use your brain too much to understand it, which I really enjoy. But this was definitely like a transitional book. Like, the plot in here was transitional. Not too much happened, but it's a lot of setting up for like what just happened in the last book and what's going to come in the next book. I'm assuming there was new characters sort of introduced and like development, so there was different multi-character chapters. The only thing I would say is obviously the main male character, it sort of focused a lot more on him, but also his brother, who is a new character. I feel like it would have been good if we had more of like his brother in like the first 2 books, at least like mentioned, because it does sort of feel like now that like a new character is being thrown in randomly. But other than that, It was good. A big plot twist happened at the end. All these books have plot twists at the end, but it set it up for the next book to come, and I actually don't know what to expect in the next one, because now I'm like, well, I didn't actually see that coming, or at least like this book. But I don't have the next book with me, it's at home, so I'm gonna have to wait until I go home to finish that. Then once I read that, that will be me up to date with this series, because the next book in the series isn't out yet. I wonder if that's gonna be the last one. I think it will. I'm done with this. I can't believe it. I breezed through it. That was like so fast to read. And now I'm gonna start A Shadow in the Ember, which is like 500 something pages, but it is huge. The writing style of that makes it a slower read. I found with Jennifer L. I'm a trap book, so the 500 something pages feel more like you're reading 700 plus pages. That's what I'm gonna start today. I definitely won't read it all in one sitting. I'll probably finish it tomorrow, read it tomorrow. But I've only got a couple hours of reading tonight, because Cammy and I are gonna go exploring this evening and go out for dinner and into town a little bit, so I'll have a bit less reading time today. So I'm gonna go back and make the most of my reading time by the pool and start this next book, because everyone says it's better than Blood and Ash, and I love Blood and Ash personally, so I'm excited. But the way that the last Blood and Ash book finished was sort of introducing these characters who this prequel series is about, so I'm excited to like jump in and start learning about that. So we're gonna go do that now. Did it. I read it. I finished this on the beach earlier today. I am obsessed with this. This was 5 stars. This is the prequel book series for Blood and Ash. I've mentioned it in other vlogs. I finished the 3rd book in the Blood and Ash series, which meant the 4th book in like the 2 series reading order together. You go into the 1st book of Flesh and Fire. So I picked this up, and I did not think I would love this as much as I did. I think it's because I already had an understanding of the world building, the history, the characters. This takes place in a completely different timeline to Blood and Ash. Obviously it's the prequel, but from reading the first 3 Blood and Ash books going into this, I already knew a lot and was picking up on things. I honestly might think I love even more than Blood and Ash so far. Like, this was 5 stars. I don't know if it's because it's a new story and sort of new characters, and there's a lot of information that's coming rather than just like a story developing. There was so much happening. The pace was really good. I had to bribe myself last night to put this down and go to bed, so I promised myself that I would wake up earlier this morning to read it and continue with the story. So 5 stars. Yeah, obsessed. I've already ordered the rest of the books that I haven't got. My camera keeps dying. I don't know what is going on, so I might have to switch over to recording on my phone. But I finished the book and I started the Gods and Monsters book number 2 on my Kindle. That is what I'm reading now. I finished all my physical books so far on this trip, and I have 1 more day left. Probably gonna finish Gods and Monsters, and I think that's gonna be 7 books that I've read. We're gonna go back to reading that. Hi, I'm back. Obviously I'm back home now, and you will probably notice a significant difference in the camera quality and the audio quality. I've just finished editing this vlog that you've watched, so if you've made it this far, shout out to you. I took my GoPro on holiday with me because I wasn't planning on filming a video. This was just like a spontaneous, I thought I'd film what I was reading while I was reading and relaxing on holiday. If you want to say hi to the camera? So I didn't actually like pack my camera and stuff, but my GoPro died while I was on holiday. In those last clips I was saying that it kept turning on and off. Yeah, it died. So I'm trying to like fix that now, but the audio on my GoPro, I've never recorded the audio. I've only ever used it to film like clips, and I did not realize how bad it was, so sorry if that bothered you as much as it bothered me. But anyways, we are home now, so I thought that we would do a quick recap before we end this video because I haven't actually told you how much I've read this week. So obviously on the first day when I was flying over there, I read the Gods and Monsters first book, which is the Book of Azrael. That was 567 pages. The Book of Azrael for me was a 4.5 stars. Loved it. Obsessed. For anyone curious, I read on Kindle with size 2 font, which is very small. For me, that feels like it's an actual book size, and I also hate swiping my hand every 2 seconds. But I know the page size can vary a bit depending on how big your font is on there, so just if you're curious. Then on Wednesday we read 468 pages. We read Flawless in one sitting, which was 4 stars. And then I read The Feared and Forgotten, and I didn't talk about it on camera intentionally because I was really enjoying it up until the ending. The ending threw me off. I'll talk about it when I do my reading wrap up that's coming up for the end of June, but very conflicted with that book. I was so into it. It was really giving Hunger Games vibes, I'm not gonna lie, but the ending I was not happy with. It made me quite sad. How they've set it up for book 2, I don't know if I want to continue reading. So for me, I gave that book a 3.25 stars. And Thursday I finished it. That was 470 pages. Friday I read Happy Place, 5 stars. Bawled my eyes out, like actually cried. Started Glow in the Plated Prisoner series. So that was 801 pages on Friday. Obviously we finished this on Saturday, and this for me was 3.75 just because it was a transitional book. Like there wasn't that much until like the very ending. There wasn't that much progress in terms of plot, but I feel like fair bit of like character background and development, and as well as like introduction of new characters, which to be fair I feel like we could have done without the new characters or the introduction to them. I wish they had been more established earlier on in the start of the book series, but 3.75. And then I started A Shadow in the Ember, so that was 612 pages on Saturday. Finished this on Sunday, 5 stars, still obsessed with it. Cannot wait to continue reading this. I think I'm probably going to read the next Blood and Ash book so I can jump back into this series. And then started the second book in the Gods and Monsters series. So that was 359 pages on Sunday. And then on Monday I was just reading as much of the book as I can, and that was 349 pages. So in total that was 3,626 pages. I read 7 books in 7 days. To be honest, I thought I would probably read more because I didn't actually spend as much time reading as I thought I was going to. Still a lot of books and many pages, and I had a blast. I'm already wishing that I was back on my vacation now. Like I want to be back in the sun reading more. But we're gonna be reading here instead, so if you aren't already subscribed, make sure you subscribe for more reading vlogs and content. And that is this video done. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.